Hi, my name is Emily Morgan. This is my video presentation for American government, and my topic is the three branches of government. So let's start with the separation of powers. The separation of powers in the U.S. Constitution is designed to prevent one branch of government from becoming too powerful. It divides the powers of government among the three branches. So the three branches are the legislative branch, or Congress. The second is the executive branch, or the president. And the third one is the judicial branch, or the courts. So the legislative branch, or Congress, makes the laws. It consists of the House of Representatives and the Senate, and its powers include creating laws, declaring war, approving budgets, and also confirming presidential appointments. The executive branch, or the president, enforces the laws. The president leads this branch, and the responsibilities include carrying out and enforcing federal laws, conducting foreign policy, and also serving as commander-in-chief of the armed forces. The judicial branch, or the courts, interpret the laws. It consists of the Supreme Court, and it determines whether laws and executive actions are constitutional or not. So now let's talk about checks and balances. The Constitution establishes a system of checks and balances. Checks and balances are where each branch can limit the powers of others. The reason why this is done is to make sure that no branch has more power over another. Some of these checks and balances include the president can veto legislation passed by Congress. Congress can override a veto or impeach the president or judges, and the Supreme Court can strike down laws or executive actions as unconstitutional. This means that they can declare executive actions and laws as unconstitutional. And this system of checks and balances allows for a balance of power, accountability, and protection of individual rights. And these were the goals of the framers who feared tyranny and dominating authority. While the Constitution established three equal branches to prevent the increase of power within one branch, the expansion of executive authority through war powers, executive orders, and administrative agencies has shifted the overall balance toward the presidency, which challenges the original intent of the framers. The founders of the United States Constitution designed the government so that power would be shared and balanced among the three branches. They feared that dominating authority in a single branch could lead to tyranny. By dividing the responsibilities of Congress making the laws, the president enforcing the laws, and the courts interpreting the laws, this way each branch has its own distinct role. The Constitution also gives each branch a check on the others, like we talked about before. In this way, the founders created a system where no branch could dominate the others, and this protects individual rights. During the early years of the U.S. Constitution, the presidency was limited in power in order to avoid a monarchy or dictatorship. The Constitution imposed formal limits, such as fixed terms, the need for Senate approval for appointments and treaties, and the possibility of impeachment. These rules ensured that the president exercised authority within strict bounds, reinforcing the founders' goal of a balanced executive. In the 19th century, presidential power expanded during war and national crisis, with Abraham Lincoln notably using wartime authority in order to take actions necessary to preserve the Union, setting precedents for a stronger executive role in emergencies. And in the 20th century, presidential power grew significantly in response to economic and military crises. And in the 21st century, presidential power has expanded in response to national security and global crisis. After September 11, 2001, the federal government passed the Patriot Act and launched the War on Terror, giving the executive branch broader authority in surveillance, counterterrorism, and military operations. Additionally, recent presidents have used executive orders to implement policies in areas such as immigration, healthcare, and environmental regulation, reflecting a continued reliance on executive authority to address pressing national issues. Executive orders and emergency powers allow the president to act without waiting for congressional approval. This allows them to have rapid responses to crisis and policy priorities. While this can make the executive branch more efficient, it can also limit Congress's legislative authority, shifting the balance of power toward the presidency. Congress can respond by passing laws to restrict or override executive actions, controlling funding, or using oversight and judicial review. However, the frequent use of executive authority can reduced the role of Congress in shaping policy. And the judiciary has acted as a check on presidential power when the executive exceeds its constitutional authority. Cases like Youngstown and the United States versus Nixon have illustrated how the courts balance the expansion of executive authority, ensuring that presidents act within constitutional limits. The term imperial presidency describes a president who exercises powers beyond the limits intended by the U.S. Constitution, often acting independently of Congress, especially in areas like war, foreign policy, or national security. Now, critics argue that this trend shifts the balance of power towards the executive, while supporters say it allows the president to act decisively in emergencies. The balance of power between the branches of government can be partially restored, but it requires active engagement from both Congress and the courts. Ultimately, restoring balance depends on a combination of legislative action, judicial enforcement, and public vigilance, ensuring that no branch dominates the others while preserving the ability of the executive to respond efficiently in emergencies. Over time, the power of the U.S. presidency has expanded beyond the limits envisioned by the founders, shaped by wars, national crisis, and modern governance challenges. This all shows how the expansion of executive authority has challenged the original intent of the founders by shifting the balance of the three branches towards the presidency. It consists of it determines. Now, checks and balances are where each branch the responsibilities of Congress making the laws, the president interpreting the laws. No. During the early using presidents, setting precedents. Additionally, recent presidents continued reliance on executive authority, reflecting a continued reliance in the judiciary who exercise Nixon. The term imperial president beyond the limit. His powers beyond the limits intended by the Constitution. Bean. Engaged in judicial enforcement efficiently. The U.S. presidency has national crises, and governance challenges. This all shows how